All right. All right. Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome Michael in Germany. Good afternoon. Carlos is in Costa Rica. Welcome. John in North Carolina is joining us as always. And Leah, likewise, in Florida. Good morning. Eugenia in sunny Toronto. Good Erev Shabbos. Jane, welcome. And who else is here? Art is in Michigan with us. Daphne in South Carolina. Liba and Davida all the way in New York. Good morning. Deborah is in Kitchener, Ontario. And Diane, formerly from London, Ontario. Kitchener, London, pretty close. Now on her way down south. David is in California. Welcome. Celeste Chavva in Boulder, Colorado has joined us. Sandy in Michigan, I mentioned, I think. Michael, Long Island is with us. Julia in Pennsylvania. Ian in Mexico. Jeff is also with us in Michigan. Michael, Long Island. Rebecca is in New York. Thank you for joining us, Rebecca. We have in Clubhouse with Batya, Michael, Liliana, Marcy, Adam, Errol, David, Yosef. Instagrammers, we have Yenta Telaventa, we have the Jewish Princess has joined us. All right. Rachel in South Carolina is with us. Chabad in Sam, Bella, Akwe in Peru, Andrea, Marlene in Florida. Beautiful. We conclude today the 26th letter, speaking about the tree of life. What we're doing right now, learning Torah, is the tree of life. The world around us is an embodiment of the tree of knowledge and good and evil. There's good and evil in it. Torah is pure good. Yet, as we learned yesterday, there can be an element of Torah that is in Klippa, that it needs to be disencumbered from the shell that's covering over it, the hiddenness of the divine wisdom. And that takes great scholarship, great determination, Amol B'Torah, to exert yourself to come and find a novel insight, teachings, adjudication of Jewish law, whatever it might be, a new understanding the mystical teachings. You're not creating something new. No new religion, no new path. You're just discovering that which has been in exile because of the creation of the world. There was the shattering of the vessels, that sparks of the divinity came into klipa, into a shell that covers over the divine presence of God. And we need to study Torah in a way that we take out the sparks of holiness from the klipa and raise them up. And therefore, that's why we need to learn the laws as in Maimonides, not just in Tanya, but as in the laws of in Maimonides. We learn laws of that which is permitted, that which is prohibited, that which is kosher, that which is valid, invalid, and the like, right? But you know what, folks? There's going to be a time, really soon, that the Shekhinah will emerge from the klipas, from klipas noiga. After we extract the sparks, we will complete the extraction of the good that's mixed in the negativity and the evil, and the klipas will be separated from good of holiness. And the workers of evil will be dispersed. And the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is what gives vitality to the admixture of good and evil, which prevails now in the time of exile, will no longer be dominant. Because the good that's mixed with the bad will be departed, will be extracted, as we just gave as we just explained how that's done through Torah studies. And the only reason Klipas Noiga has any power is because of the good that's in there, mixed in there. But when the good is extracted, as we just explained, when you study Torah in a way that you bring a novel teachings that has been in exile, has been covered over, concealed, and you bring that illumination. So you're taking the good that's there in the klipa and separating it and elevating it. So what will happen? We won't need to study Torah, because that's in the manner that we learn today, and extracting the sparks of goodness, of the holiness, and elevating, because all evil will be dispersed with. There will be no longer, times of Mashiach, a element of negativity, of evil that has any power. It's gone. So then what are we going to do? We're not going to study Torah anymore. Of course we're going to study Torah, but it will have a different dimension. Then we will make unions, marriages of the divine attributes. Then we won't learn Torah as we do now in order to refine the world, but we will learn Torah in order to bring a union to the world, a marriage to the world from the divine attributes, the male and the female attributes that when we study, we call forth those sublime divine lights transcending the world of Atzilus even. And as the Arizal explains, how's that going to be accomplished? Well, that's the inward teachings of the Torah, Pnimiyus HaTorah. Kabbalistic, mystical, or more specifically, Chabad teachings. Right? That esoteric dimension of the Torah, when you will perform the mitzvahs, not just as the duty that we need to do and knowing the law and how to fulfill it, but performing the mitzvahs with the lofty mystical devotions of drawing down sublime lights. Unions between the male and female parts of the divine, that we create a union through the act of the mitzvah, that we will draw that down. So we will have cognizance, awareness of that, not just in the mind's eye, but in the physical eye, of how in the physical light. In other words, it's going to be so real to us, bringing down that light, that divine illumination. And that's what we'll be engaged in. Our sages make a comment that the mitzvahs will no longer be in the future. That's a much later time after the resurrection. There'll be a time period after that. But the regular normative, what we speak about in Jewish law, the times of Mashiach, will be as it is, a physical world that we will do mitzvahs, study Torah. But as opposed to today, the study of our the study of Torah, the fulfillment of mitzvahs, is to refine the world, the spiritual world in Torah, that is, the light of God is hidden, and in the physical world, in the act of a mitzvah, that the light of God is also hidden, something that we learn chapters 36, 37, 38 in the first part of Tanya. But here we're speaking specifically about Torah study, right? That's our focus. So that's why Torah study will be mainly directed in the times of Mashiach to the innermost mystical depths of understanding the commandments and their hidden reasons. Meaning that the do's and the don'ts, how to fulfill the mitzvah, first of all, will be innate to us. It'll be innate on how to do a mitzvah. The mitzvah actually is a reflection of who we are. It's a part of our DNA, the Jewish people. So it's there, but it's covered over. It won't be covered over. It'll be revealed to us. And we won't, and even if it's not, totally revealed to us, you're going to learn it, you're going to know it, you're not going to forget. Therefore, review won't be necessary. That'll only be actually for the mixed multitude, called the Erev Rav. Right? They will need to toil in these aspects of the Torah because they haven't merited the tree of life, tasting it. Now, what does that mean? The mixed multitude, the Erev Rav, those were the Egyptians. That term comes from the times when the Jews left Egypt. The Egyptians came up with them. And some Egyptians left with them to be part of the Jewish people. That was then. What does that mean in the times to come, Mashiach? I'm not exactly certain. But I think those who want to have their part and a portion of the Jewish people, something to that merit, something to that idea. So since they did not engage in this mystical dimension, so they will need that part of the Torah. They will need that part of the Torah. Why? Because there will be still some kind of aspect of klipa that they need to weaken. Right? There will still be some kind of power of the Sitra Achra, the other side, the negative side. Right? So they will need those teachings. Why? It means, in other words, not just the mystical part of the Torah, but the revealed parts of the Torah, the do's and the don'ts, right? Kosher, not kosher, and so on. Because they need the teachings in order that negativity should not dominate them to cause them to do wrong, to sin. So those are those who didn't taste from the tree of life. Okay. But so, however, those who've tasted from the tree of life, the innate connection to mitzvahs they will have, they will not forget. We won't forget because we only forget today because of klipa. What does forgetting mean? It's covered over. It's concealed. Well, godliness will not be covered over anymore, so we're not going to forget. And it's even possible that not only we won't forget because, we'll learn something, we'll know it, and we won't have to review it, and it's innately a part of us, and therefore the do's and don'ts will be very, what's the word, natural. It's even possible, says the Alter Rebbe, and indeed probable, that the Jewish people will know the fundamentals of the revealed plane of Torah, the do's and the don'ts, right, from the inward teachings of the Torah. As actually Abraham, our forefather, as he knew, right? In other words, he knew the revealed aspects of Torah from the esoteric core. And in time to come, in Mashiach, Jewish people also know Torah in a similar manner. Therefore, it will be not necessary to occupy ourselves in the laws defining that which is permitted or prohibited, pure and impure, perhaps even at all, because we'll get it from the inward aspect. As opposed to, this is contrast the times of Mashiach to the times of the Second Temple. Right? Even though there was the divine presence, but there the scholars did not derive their sustenance. They did not derive their sustenance from the illiterate, because they owned their own fields and vineyards. Yet they needed to learn these laws. So it wasn't for the sake of others. They needed to learn the laws for their own sake. Not just for practical application, they needed to learn the laws, but because that's the main service of God, is what? Refining the world. So the do's and the don'ts refine. They create the boundaries, they create the limitations, they create the obligation, that part of the Torah. And through learning that weakens the negative side. Concludes the Alter Rebbe this letter 26, the beautiful, profound teachings. After the above words of truth, it will be possible to clearly understand the quoted passage from the Zohar and the Ram and the Hemna that speak about the tree of good and evil, right? That which is prohibited in permission. That's speaking about Klipas Noiga, which is the mainstay of the world, as written by the Arizal, that until Mashiach arrives, it dominates the world. The material world is an expression of godly energy, godly light of Klipa, Klipas Noiga, which is the tree of knowledge, a mixture of good and evil. But after Mashiach comes, we won't have to extract any more the good from the evil, because that will all be done and evil will disperse with. So what's left, we will make spiritual unions from the male part of God and the female part of God, and create that union to bring down a new divine light into this world through the mitzvah that we accomplish. And this will suffice for the discerning. Powerful, beautiful, amazing teachings of the Alter Rebbe. Have any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Excuse me. Davida, is everything revealed in only mixed multitude, toil, and Torah? How will we spend our days when Mashiach comes? We'll spend our days learning. We'll spend our days not just learning. What we learn, we live. Today we try to live with it, but it's not so easy. That's why TRC, you come and we teach you deeper how to live what we learn. Great session yesterday. I have another one Sunday. To learn to live what you learn, and to live what you learn. So when Mashiach comes, that will be so innate. And therefore we're going to get the deeper mystical perspective on things. So yes, you're right. We won't have to toil. Daphne, good point. I didn't think we use even 10% of our brain today, brain capacity. I thought it was more like 4 to 6%. I thought maybe like Einstein used 6% and we use maybe like 4%. Maybe that's whatever. But you're correct. Mashiach comes. Perhaps that's, on a certain level, the concept of Mashiach is that our brain, our awareness, because what's our brain? Giving us awareness, right? Excuse me. If we use 100%, I can't imagine what that would mean in what we are going to perceive. Imagine that. Even if it was only 20%, 30%, that's like unreal. Excuse me. I don't even know what that means. John, in the broad sense, we are the Erev Rav, and there is the first manifestation, and was there first manifestation in Mitzrayim. Going out of Egypt, that's who the Erev Rav, the mixed multitude. Yes. Yes. Would the Klippa be completely destroyed during the second stage of Mashiach's time? In the first stage, yeah, the first stage already. When Mashiach comes, where will Sitra HaAcher get its power? It's not going to have power. That's the whole point. John, it's not going to happen anymore. Forget it. Got used to it, You think death and taxes are eternal. They're not. They're not. So when we feed directly from the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of God, of good and evil, will not exist, as it will not have any purpose anymore, right? That's why the question is, so what do you mean? Still going to have to learn Torah, God's wisdom. So we're not going to learn it in order to refine the world, refine ourselves. No, that will be all refined. We're going to learn it in order to create marriage, spiritual union between the female and male parts of the divine, and bring that divine energy into the world. Okay, let me see. I don't see any more questions. I'm looking. Marcy, please share.
So this may be kind of a silly question because we don't really know the answer to any of it, but is there, beyond the presence of a physical body, is there a practical difference between Olam Haba and the Messianic Age?
Yes. In Olam Haba, meaning in Gan Eden, after we finish our times here, we get only a ray of light from God. We don't get the essence of God. And that's why there's only a soul. The essence of God is with a body and soul. to be experienced. So we only get a ray of light in Gan Eden. That we experience, that we are bask in the pleasure of. But otherwise, so it's much less. So people make a mistake and think, Gan Eden, that's the place to be. It's not. The place to be is in this world, a body that has a soul infused in it. Because here we can have a relationship to the essence of God, a much more deep and more profound connection. Yeah. Rachel, what is the most efficient way to share the need to gather sparks in preparation for this time with those who have strayed or fallen away? Just do a mitzvah with them. When you put on tefillin with a Jew, or light Shabbos candles, or give tzedakah, you are helping that person in doing the act to bring a refinement. Now here we're speaking specifically through Torah, but yes, still there's...
Rabbi, fine.
Yes.
I heard a class and it was stated that there was a time of the Talmud where the Jews had to focus on Talmud, and as closer as we come to the Messianic age, it's now more about Hasidus, and that tzedakah and doing good is more important than to study. We should follow the law, of course, but that the effort should be more on tzedakah, Hasidus, and doing good, instead of focusing on the details of the law. Is this with the coming of the Messianic time that we have to change our focus to
no, I mean, in a sense, yes. In a sense, that's correct. Not that we are going away from the details of how to fulfill the mitzvah. That's very important, because that's bringing refinement to the world. But yet, in preparation for Mashiach, and I never spoke about this, that, live as if Mashiach is here. Then when Mashiach comes, it won't be such a big gap. So live as what we just learned over here. In other words, with God's presence being real and palpable, and that in your thoughts and your speech and your actions. So if you live that way, then you're creating that reality, that it should be much more easy to bridge the gap, and in effect you are bringing as a result, the final redemption through living it. Excellent. Did I miss anything else on Instagram? How can we be most effective at gathering sparks? Every opportunity you have to do a mitzvah. Chaparayim. Take the opportunity. Every time you got an opportunity. Thrice 5-7. I think you have a question. Every idea, all the time, goes in cycles. I don't know what that means. All right. Beautiful. So Rambam is coming up. Reminder, Sunday, double class in the morning, and there'll be 6:30 in the evening, Torah portion class. And of course TRC at 8 p.m. All right. David is asking, will men and women be the same spiritual level? There'll still be distinction, of course. Okay, let's see. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you. Tanya, have an amazing day and a good Shabbos.